During the 13th Black Crusade, Battle Fleet Cadia consisted of 12 battleships, 12 cruiser squadrons, alongside 21 escorts and 40 civilian and transportation vessels converted for wartime operations. Chaos Fleet composition is not known, but the best guess is that it was composed of 10 battleships, 9 cruiser squadrons, 30 escorts, alongside hundreds if not thousands of militarized civil and merchant vessels, held back in reserve in order to deploy forces and supplies planetside after the Void War. There were also a number of Astarte vessels held in reserve, but there isn't enough data to speculate on their number nor their composition. Year 39,995, 0 o'clock Standard Terran Time. Scout ships and satellites detect 2 cruisers, 1 escort and 300 fighters exiting the Eye of Terra. Lord Admiral Quirin believes the force to just be a raiding party, orders a section of the fleet, codename Angel, consisting of 2 cruisers, 2 battleships and 11 escorts, alongside 500 fighters to shadow it, and if it moves away from the Eye, to destroy it. The remainder of the fleet went off to the orbital resupply stations in order to stock up on ammunition, fuel and medical supplies, so that if a larger Chaos Fleet exits the Eye, they would be ready to engage it and send it back to hell. 0200 hours. Splinter Fleet Angel engages Chaos Fleet in a long-range duel, with fighters and bombers dogfighting in the middle. With Cadians coming off slightly better, with 56% casualty rate for the Chaos Fighters and 44% casualty rate for the Cadians out of the 500 combined fighter losses. 0215 hours. Cadian Bomber Squadron breaks through the dogfighting screen and reaches Chaos Escort Ship, and through lucky strike blows up one of its plasma reactors. After that, they disengage and fly back to get restocked. 0230 hours. A Chaos Escort is seen blowing up and splitting in two, being a great morale booster for the Splinter Fleet Angel. 0300 hours. Lord Quirin is notified of the events taking place upon the planet of Cadia by Lord Creed. Fearing a much larger force will exit the Eye, Lord Quirin orders all ships except converted ones to stop the resupply efforts and to follow him and join the Splinter Fleet Angel. Converts would stay behind to provide Creed with light orbital support and to stop or at least slow down any unforeseen traitor attempts to deploy boots on the ground, or provide planetside traitors with material support. 0315 hours. Splinter Fleet Angel gets the order to pull back and rejoin the main force, and just as they were disengaging, thousands of fighters and bombers exited the Eye and booked it for them, now that they were easy targets with their point defense weaponry looking backwards instead of forwards. Angel Fleet would have been surely destroyed then and there if it wasn't for the valiant sacrifice of the brave Cadian fighters that died to a man in order to buy Angel Fleet enough time to withdraw. The only damage inflicted was one of the escorts having one of its rear engines severely damaged, requiring extensive refurbishment. 0330 hours. Angel Fleet and Cadian Fleet link up and provide a united front against the Chaos Fleet, but decide to only look after it instead of engaging it due to high likelihood of Chaos possessing some unknown traps. 0745 hours. More Chaos warships exit the Eye. Lord Quirin stands his ground and doesn't attack. 1050 hours. Creed requests aerial assistance and Lord Quirin sends one escort with 1400 bombers and 200 fighters to Cadia to offload the aircraft planetside. More Chaos warships exit the Eye. 1625 hours. Quirin staff and guard commanders argue about who commands the aircraft sent planetside. Navy staff argues that as they are naval personnel and that their equipment is part of the Navy, that Navy should have full control. Guard argues that for better command and control alongside better coordination, that Guard should have full control. Lord Quirin gives in, saying to his staff that they already have enough to worry about in space and to leave the land warfare to the land troglodytes. 1900 hours. Creed says that situation is under control. Any Chaos sympathizers or demonic entities have been significantly reduced in number or flat out wiped out. 2300 hours. All the Navy aircraft and even some newer ones are returned to the fleet. 2335. Local sectors report that they are under the attack, but that once they deal with their own Chaos problems, that their fleets are coming in to assist Cadia. 2350. More vessels exit the Eye and Chaos Navy deploys in a long line with smaller ships in the middle, larger ships on the sides and battleships on the flanks. They start moving towards Imperial lines. Lord Quirin is perplexed by this strategy, considering it to be so ridiculously dumb that it's obviously is some kind of trap. Fleet Angel and others convince him that it's not, and that's just what your brain looks like when you consume Chaos Coke. Quirin is convinced and divides his fleet in 3 sections. A right and left section consisting of only 2 battleships and 2 cruisers each, but with heavy support of fighter aircraft, and center consisting of all the other ships. Plan was that the left and right are the laying force, only there to slow down Chaos flanks. Meanwhile, Central Force would break through the Chaos center, destroying most of their smaller ships, serving anti-aircraft roles, before moving up with the support of most of the Bomber Force, eliminating big Chaos warships. 2355. Operation commences as planned, but just before the Central Force gets in contact with the Chaos' center, a beam of crackling energy erupts from the eye and swallows both the Chaos and the Imperial Center Force in unrelenting fire. Void shields fail and all ships from the Imperial Central Force vanish, leaving only bits of smoldering fragments in their wake. Carnage is so great that demons start manifesting on board of right and left sections of the fleet. An unnamed admiral takes control and, seeing the disaster unfolding before his eyes, orders a retreat to Cadia's orbit so that they can have support from the Cadian planetside anti-ship weaponry. Name of the admiral was known before, he even got awarded the Hero of the Imperium status, but lost it after drunkenly confessing to one of his friends, Colonel Sanders, that he only retreated because he felt scared, and not due to any tactical considerations. Sanders told the story to a local inquisitor, who later mind-probed him, confirming the story, executed him, and removed him from the history books. A week after the naval disaster, Chaos was ready for the planetside invasion. Navy, fearing that it would simply get crushed in orbit, decided to split in 2. One portion, mostly consisting of civil and transport vessels, would pick up millions of people from Cadia and go to local sectors to gather more ships, and even go to ghost yards to form new fleets crewed by Cadian Guard reservists. The other would conduct hit-and-run attacks, trying to destabilize the Chaos supply lines as much as possible. Year 39,996. A year after the initial invasion, planetside war turned into a bloody stalemate. Battlefleet Cadia was starting to receive more reinforcements, but still in very limited numbers. Most major ones were the Space Marine vessels, including several major ones given by Space Wolves. Through 995, Fleet Cadia had to mostly engage enemy convoys via aircraft, suffering heavy losses once Chaos started providing escort ships to their convoy fleets, resulting in Cadian fleet only destroying 9 ships in the entire year. But now, buffed with more reinforcements, they were able to destroy both the convoys as well as the garrison ships protecting them, resulting in Chaos having to move more and more ships into convoy escort roles rather than orbital bombardment, losing one of the major advantages in the process. In the year 997, the situation got so bad that all of the Chaos ships had to be on garrison duty. This resulted in Chaos convoys stocking up on supplies inside the eye for about a month, and then once a month all the Chaos convoys would go out together with the entire Chaos fleet, protecting them to Cadia to deliver supplies to the planetside traitors. This all allowed the Imperial fleet to once a month deliver its own much needed supplies to the besieged defenders, alongside providing orbital support until the Chaos fleet shows up again. In 998, Chaos found out location of one of the major food storage sites and destroyed it. Creed asked for urgent help. If the food didn't arrive in 2 weeks, starvation would set in, and desperate men are the most likely to join Chaos. Even if they didn't, Creed calculated that even with the rations cut in half, he would still lose 63% of his troops to starvation, and that another 14% would be rendered unable to fight, due to all the muscle and fat loss. Navy, seeing the disastrous situation that Creed was in, chose to sacrifice 10 of its convoy ships by overfilling them with food, making them circle local planet's orbit with engines fully on, and then accelerating them at Cadia and telling them to switch anti-gravity tech just before they impact the ground. 8 ships crashed, but supplies were able to be recovered. One was blown up in orbit by the traitors, and one had its anti-gravity tech malfunction and lodged itself 40 kilometers into the surface of Cadia, causing crater-like impact that killed 44 million loyal Imperial souls. This resupply temporarily staved off starvation. Once Creed ordered that the rations for the heavily wounded would be cut by 75%, minor wounded by 20%, and all the rest by 4%. This bought enough time for the monthly resupply to arrive and to save Cadian army from starvation. 999. Chaos deploys its Blackstone fortress against Cadia. Space Wolves try to board it but fail. Finally, due to efforts of the Toaster Man and the British Museum staff, S.H.I.E.L.D. is deployed and saves Cadia. Phalanx arrives and battles Blackstone. Together with the efforts of the Imperial Navy, Eldar Space Marines, and the Imperial Demons, Phalanx wins the engagement. Chaos Fleet pushes the Blackstone fortress towards Cadia to try to destroy it. Phalanx fires everything it has in order to destroy the Blackstone before it impacts Cadia, but fails. Imperial Navy evacuates everyone they can from the planet, but they realize that the war for Cadia is over. Elements of the Cadian fleet would later on stay with the force trying to wake Gilman, but that's the story for another day. I know that today's video was a bit different, but if you liked it, remember to smash the like button, comment your opinions down below. Until the next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.